and welcome to my first YouTube video, which is all about installing your client retention engine. Now, I'm going to cover absolutely everything that you need to know in regards to client retention. Now, this gives away some of the top tips that I give to agencies to help retain their clients, make sure that they're keeping them for over a year, because without retention, your agency really isn't much at all. So to dive straight in, one of the biggest reasons that agencies get stuck is because of their churn rate. Now, what will happen is they will go all in on sales, they'll sign a load of clients, then think, right, okay, I need to suddenly fulfill all of these clients, but they still want to keep on growing. They can't find that balance, so the churn starts to happen. So they go through that massive period of growth, which is like super exciting, but then they're like, right, I've got to go and focus on actually delivering to these clients now. And it's, well, if I'm delivering to the clients, I'm leaving sales behind. When they then try to pick sales back up, they start to experience that churn. And it's not really until that happens do most agencies start to pay attention to actually retaining clients, because retention doesn't seem that sexy until you realize that it's actually the secret to scaling your agency. Because without retention, you really don't have much at all. Like if you want to exit your agency, or even if you just want that long-term stability, if you don't know how you can actually retain and keep clients, you're really going to struggle with that. So most clients will leave because you've got a leaky bucket. And it's usually because there's no health monitoring, checking in on how they are, making sure that how their results are, but how their communication is, all of these different things. Usually because there's a poor onboarding. If you haven't got a strong onboarding, clients from the very start will think, right, okay, this doesn't feel very organized. I don't feel very well taken care of, all of these different aspects. There's no growth plan. You haven't actually kind of forecasted how this relationship will work. So they will say, right, I want to achieve X, so I want to increase my sales by X amount, for example. So let's say you're doing ads, you're going to be doing lead generation for that. You've set those goals in place, but you haven't actually forecasted how that growth is going to happen in regards to what KPIs do you both expect to be hitting. And once you've hit that, what's actually the next plan or the next step of that plan, and making sure you've got all of that mapped out. Then it's reactive communication. So rather than being proactive, you're reactive. You're waiting for clients to ask you questions. You shouldn't be waiting for clients to ask you questions. You should be answering those questions before they've even been asked. Because a lot of the time it's on things that you're already aware of. So whether that's that a campaign is underperforming, whether that's that they're just having issues with the lead quality, all of these different things. You should be addressing that first. And if something is going wrong, don't be afraid to say something about it. Don't think, oh, I need to just act as if nothing's happening. Be vocal about it. Be honest. Be transparent. Clients respect that an awful lot more. Then no expectations being set. I think this is possibly the biggest one for why clients leave, is because a lot of people have spoken to several agencies. You're not the first agency they've spoken to. So they might have been set unrealistic expectations before, or maybe they've just got this idea in their head of how this relationship's going to work. So if you haven't gone and set those expectations and you haven't been super clear on what's actually going to happen, they start to make up their own. And quite often that's quite different to what the expectations are that you would be setting. And then it ends up that it would really struggle for that client to ever be happy because they've set their own expectations, which it wouldn't be realistic for you to hit. Whereas if you're vocal about them and saying this here is exactly what's going to happen, they know what's next. They know what's going to happen. They know what they can expect. And then the invisible wins. No one celebrates the wins with their clients. They'll say celebrate a big one, but look at the micro ones. Their first lead coming in, their first sale, all of these things, celebrate it with the client. Celebrate then the smaller things as well, such as, right, okay, we've got a campaign working which hasn't worked in a little while, or we're ranking for this new keyword. All of these different things which clients, it doesn't seem like a big deal to us, but it's a big deal to our clients. So make sure that we're celebrating them with us, or celebrating them with the clients. And yeah, fix these leaks first, because then you can actually scale rather than just keep them pouring water into this leaking bucket. So I've got my client retention engine flywheel, which consists of 5 different areas. Your first being your world-class onboarding. Your onboarding sets the tone for the entire relationship. It is so important making sure that you've got a systemized onboarding so everyone knows exactly what happens. You've got emails that are being sent out. You've got forms to gather information. All of these different aspects are coming in, working together so the client's having a really positive experience. Then you've got your clear expectations being set. Like I just mentioned, expectations are so important. You need to establish what are the realistic expectations that I should actually be setting with these clients. And how do I make sure that that can be clearly relayed across to them? They should be relayed across several times throughout the time of working together, starting off with the end of the sales process, then throughout onboarding, then ongoing. But these should be things such as how long is it going to take to launch the ads, or provide an SEO audit. give a mock-up of the website, all these different things. Then what's the lead volume say they can expect? What's the amount of time it will take them to rank? How long does it take until the website's going to be finished? All of these different things, but set those really clear expectations. Then you've got your proactive communication. You never want the clients to be asking you the questions. You always want to be the one in charge. So I would always recommend checking in with clients at least twice a month. Do a bi-weekly check-in with clients. I usually recommend the last check-in of the month, so usually around like the 30th, is do that as your report, but also have a small summary on what's been going on. And then around the 15th of the month, do an email check-in or text, however it is that you communicate with clients. But make sure that you're consistently communicating. You can then set that in your expectations of you'll hear from us at least every other week. But it also allows the client to feel really well taken care of, and that they know, right, okay, whatever's happening, I'm going to get an update on it. Then results visibility through win stacking. Really celebrate all of those wins. Go after all of the big things, but also focus on the smaller things. Look at when they got their first lead. Look at the areas which a lot of agencies don't pay attention to, even in regards to optimizations, even at what's happening in their business. Celebrate them with the client because they really, really appreciate it. And then number 5 is your client growth planning. Make sure that you've actually got that roadmap of growth with them. Now, what I recommend for this is having a quarterly strategy session with clients. Now, in those quarterly strategy sessions, what I recommend you doing is going over what is the client's goals for the next 3 months. How does your services align with those goals? What do you need to do? Do you possibly need to add a service on? Do you need to optimize something? Do they need to put more budget behind something? But what you can then do is align their goals with how your service will directly allow them to hit those goals. It also allows you to see if they got any events coming up, any planned promotions, all of these different things. But what you do then is for each quarter, the client feels like both of you are on the exact same page. They feel really well taken care of, and they're also excited, which is the main thing. They're excited that your solution is going to get them to that next goal. Always in those strategy sessions, if a client does come to you with something that's really unrealistic, obviously don't go and say that you can make that happen. Be honest with them, be realistic, and make sure that both of you are leaving that call on the same page. But yeah, retention isn't just a department. It's really a system that compounds over time, and different areas will be responsible for that. So a big question that I get is, how do I actually measure retention? Now, your retention rate is your clients at the end of a period minus your new clients acquired during a period, divided by clients at the start of that period times 100. So let's say you were doing it for Q1 of the year. You were going to look at the clients at the end of the period. So how many total clients have you got at the end of March? So say March 31st. How many new clients did you acquire between January 1st and March 31st? And then clients at the start of that period, how many clients have you had at the beginning? So at January 1st. Then you're going to times that by 100, and it's going to give you a percentage. But really taking a look into that. Now, for your retention, what's classed as a healthy retention? Now, elite retention is between 90 to 95% per quarter. You ideally want to be at that 95% rate, if not higher. But then your good retention is 80 to 90% per quarter. That there, again, I would be looking at making it a lot better. And then your warning zone is really below 80% per quarter, and that's when it really needs urgent attention. But things that you can go and do to actually increase your client retention right now is go create a client health tracker. Very, very simple. You're going to have the client name, you're going to have the date that they came on board, you can have the service that they're here for, and then you're going to have the client's health. Now, the client's health you're going to do as a red, yellow, or green. So red is the client's unhappy, yellow is the client's unsure, or green the client's happy. Now, what I would recommend you doing is monitoring that every other week when you're checking in with the client. So twice a month, that should be changed from green to yellow, yellow to green, staying the same, etc. But what it then allows you to do, and you can implement this with your team as well, is allows you to see a comprehensive view of where all of your clients are. In my marketing agency OS, I actually have a client tracker which gives you some automations on the back end for actually seeing the stats behind it. So if you want it, let me know. But then I would also schedule your top 5 client pulse checks. So there's those clients which you're a little bit concerned about, where you're not too sure, I'm feeling a little bit wobbly about them, I'm not too sure if they're going to stay on. Go have a conversation with them. So much can be done through a conversation. Communication fixes an awful lot of things. But go schedule them, find out where you are, because then you know a good idea of, okay, am I expected to lose some revenue? Am I expected to lose these clients? Or actually, they were a bit on the fence, I've actually been able to save them here. So I'd highly recommend you doing that. And then your last one is calculate your last quarter's retention and then measure it against those 3 metrics at the bottom there. But see what it is, and then you know the action steps to take. But thank you so much for watching this. I'm going to be doing about 2 YouTube videos a week, pure value based. Anything that you would like to see, please let me know. But I will be showing you everything on how to systemize and scale your agency and remove yourself from the day-to-day.